Welcome to the Liberace Mansion.
Welcome to Under the Vegas Sun, looking at the people, the events, and the news surrounding Las Vegas and the entire Vegas Valley. Hello, I'm Steve Schorr. We are live from the Liberace Mansion. Actually, right now, we're in one of my favorite places within the mansion. This is called the Hall of Mirrors. And Liberace had this fascination about mirrors. He really gained the fascination when he first went to the Palace of Versailles in France. He duplicated that entire sensation here in his Hall of Mirrors. Why is it important today? Because I think mirrors are important. Sometimes we have to look at ourselves, see who we are and what we are. And when you're a young person going through some problems, looking at that mirror can be the most important thing. On our program today, we'll again talk to a gentleman who helped an organization that really looks to make a difference in young people. And you'll meet a young man who started off his life not in a great place, but ended up in a wonderful place. He has some great ideas. You'll meet them in just a couple of seconds. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Eamon Springall of Stitched at the Cosmopolitan, and you're watching Under the Vegas Sun with Steve Schorr.
There's a time in life where you can really make a difference in someone else's life. How do you do that? What can you do to really make that difference happen? On our program today, two very, very special guests, two individuals who have not only helped young people, but a young person who has been helped in the entire process. Once again, our very, very special guest in the program is a gentleman who started a wonderful program called the Inspiring Children Foundation. And he is a man that truly believes that when you help young people, you make a difference. And that is Ryan Worthington, and a very young man who went through the entire program and is now successful, William Elmore. Gentlemen, welcome to our program. Okay, Ryan, let's talk with you first. You're sitting next to a young man who clearly you know, who went through your program, went through this entire process that has changed his life, which I think the audience will find out here in a few moments. When you look at William and know your role in this entire process, what did you learn by it? What could you share with the audience about what this whole thing means?
Well, to me, there's no greater high than investing in another human being and then seeing that person take that investment and run with it. I've had the opportunity to do a lot of neat things, but working with young people is by far the best thing I've ever been able to do. And not every child wants it as much as William did. I mean, William really took a hold of the opportunity and ended up going to a top 5 business school, Villanova University. And not only that, he had opportunities to get jobs anywhere in the country. Instead, he came back to Vegas to give back and to continue the tradition.
We talked last week on the program about Inspiring Children Foundation and what it does. How do you look at that now when there are so many Williams out there that need the help, need the change, need to resurrect themselves, so to speak?
Well, you know, at first I didn't want to scale it. I didn't want it to be big. I just wanted to create the ultimate youth development program in the world. I wanted to not figure what that was. And it's kind of scaled on its own. It's being duplicated in 22 cities through the USTA, and through a partnership with Jewel, who I work with, we put a lot of what we do online on jewelneverbroken.com. So a lot of other kids are getting it, but a lot of the most powerful stuff is seeing our alumni go out to Princeton and Harvard and Stanford and Yale, and in their environments, they're transforming their communities by their own pursuit of excellence, by their own pursuit of wanting to help themselves and help others. And he's a perfect example of that.
Okay. William, how did it make a difference to you? Where did it start for you? You are not this amazing young individual who has a future that's brighter than the day itself. You faced the troubles. What were you facing in your life when Inspiring Children's Foundation came into your life?
So when I was 15, my father lost his business in the economic downturn of 07, 08, and we literally lost everything. We lost our home, and got a call from my uncle, and he said, well, I'm doing okay out in Vegas, and I have a room in my house, and your family can come out and stay with us. So my entire family, all 5 of us, came out and moved into one room of my uncle's home.
One room
of my uncle's home. And I was playing tennis at the time at the Arthur Ashe Foundation in Philadelphia, and the head of that program actually heard of Ryan Wolfington and gave him a call and said, hey, we have this kid, his family kind of going through some hard times. He won't really be able to pay for the tennis portion, but he's a good kid, just give him a shot.
when you came out here, you saw what your family was going through. Was there a time that you just wanted to give up? Was there a time that you said, I can't believe this is happening to me and my family? We were great just a short time ago, and now look at us. Was there a time you gave up?
I wouldn't say that there was a time I gave up, but absolutely there were times that I wanted to. I mean, being 15, I was in the middle of my sophomore year of high school, and I didn't get to finish out the school year, and I internalized everything as, this is so unfair. This is so unfair that this is happening to me. I mean, without thinking of the effect that it was having on my brothers and my parents, it's so unfair that I have to move. And I mean, we had a house, we had a happy family, and now everything is changing, and the only thing that was important at the time was how it was affecting me. And looking back, it's laughable, but just...
I'm sure it wasn't laughable at the time.
No, I mean, everything is very real when you're going through it.
So you met Ryan.
Yes.
You met the Inspiring Children's Foundation. You became a part of it. Did you believe in it initially? Did you think initially that it was going to change you, or was it just a way for you to play tennis again? Be honest.
Initially, it started as a place to play tennis. I would get up in the mornings and come to Lorenzi Park and play, and I knew that there was this larger entity of the Inspiring Children Foundation, and I was kind of in and out of it, and other things were going on in my life. Once we came out here, we lived in the one room of my uncle's house for a while, and things got a bit shaky, and I actually ended up homeless myself, just me. My parents and my younger brothers ended up moving in with a friend, and they didn't have room for me, so I slept on the tennis courts at Lorenzi Park for 2 months.
You slept on the tennis courts of Lorenzi Park for 2 months?
Yes.
What happened to William inside?
William inside kind of shut down. Being around Ryan and Jewel always says this: when we're in these times of adversity, we go into survive mode. And that's kind of how I felt. It was survive. I have things that I need to do. I was still in high school, so I have classes that I have to get done, and I wanted to pursue tennis, so I have tennis in the mornings, and obviously I have those primal needs of I need to eat, I need to...
How many of your friends knew that you were sleeping on benches at Lorenzi Park? How did you hide it from them, or did you hide it from them? So by this time I was a little bit more integrated within the foundation, and I was doing intern work during the days, and I would hang out with people until around 8:30 and say, oh, I'm gonna go home now. And I would leave. You'd go back to the park.
Yeah.
Ryan, how do I sense that's not an unusual story involving your young people?
Well, I actually had no idea about him sleeping on the courts until years later. And as difficult as these situations are, I always get excited when I see a young person in that circumstance, because I know that if they handle it properly, it's going to be the ingredients that make them great and make them love life so much that they want to get up every day and give their best. And that's what happened with him.
And William is like an example of both ends of the spectrum. In one end of the spectrum, You have young people facing economic challenges, as his family had to move to a one-bedroom facility that eventually had to change his life. The other side of the spectrum was he became homeless because he didn't have any place to go. Both of those sides, this young man experienced, but yet he's here today with this great smile that he has, believing that his life is going straight up right now.
And you know, we're not in the business of helping kids a little bit, or even to make them good, or even great. We're in the business of helping them to become extraordinary. So not only did he get out to survive, he started to learn how to love to strive until he gets to a point where you thrive. And that's our goal, no matter where they come in, whether they come in on the first floor, the basement, the third floor, we're taking them to the penthouse. Because there's no reason why they can't become the leaders of tomorrow. And his family's a great example of that, because as well, not just him, but his father came down and helped out every day. Never wanted a handout, just worked and helped out. He was so good helping out, we were able to convince Tim Blankiron, who runs the tennis there at the park, to hire him. And he started working there. His mother started helping out tremendously. Then when they got in a situation where the housing wasn't there anymore, we bought a home for them. And they became the host of a transitional home, not just for their family, but for all the other kids.
All the other families
who needed a place to stay. So we have 3 to 5 children stay in those transitional homes. We have 2 of them now at any given time. And they could be displaced because family's going through a hard time, or they're from out of state, or they're struggling with depression, or they're just needing a place temporarily, you know, whatever it may be. And his family cares for those kids as well.
One of the amazing parts of your foundation to me that I've been able to find out so far is that you've created almost $15 million in scholarships for young people. We're going to take a break for a couple of seconds, and when we come back, I want to talk about scholarships. I want to talk about, William, what your education has meant to you, and I want to find out if you have some advice for parents and for young people who are watching right now, who maybe are going through the same situation. So we'll take a break for a couple of seconds. When we come back, we'll have more of this amazing story. Stay with us.
Hey, it's Mark Chinook from Monday's Dark, and you are watching Under the Vegas Sun with Steve Schorr.
How do you change a life? How do you change people? How do you give them the opportunity of the future? Once again, Ryan and William back on our program, gentlemen. Okay, $15 million right now, minimum, of scholarship money. You kind of see opening the doors to college for young people as a means to change the future, correct?
Correct. And not just college, but the best colleges. And if we can get them to get excited about learning, where they want to do it for themselves, not us telling them to do it, but they want to do it. And not only about learning academically, but learning with know-how. Because we're very big on project-driven learning, where kids learn by doing real-life projects. All of our fundraisers, all of our events. You know, the One Drop event with Jewel, the kids helped out significantly with that. One kid's project raised $130,000. She ended up at Wharton School of Business. He ended up at Villanova's business school, which is top 5 in America. So we want to get them to a point where they're so motivated, they want to be the best they can be academically, within themselves personally, with their family relationships, with their diet, with their sleep, with their athletics. And if you get them to this point where they're so excellent, the colleges then recruit them and give them a scholarship.
The one thing that has bothered me about all the problems that we have faced educationally in America is that I think because of the problems, we have lost the one thing that makes a difference. And that is creating within a child the happiness of learning.
Correct.
And I think sometimes that we're so worried about everything else that is going on within our schools that we pass by the happiness of learning. I think, as the audience knows, and I'm sure that you know, that I have a public school that's named after me, that I have 1,000 children. They're my children. And we push all the time them being happy about education and loving education. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't have that in elementary school, I'm sorry, you're not going to have it by middle school, high school, or above.
Correct.
If they don't have it early, they're not going to have it. William, I have this sense that education has created this inner sense of who you are and this happiness of who you are. Am I correct?
Absolutely. So growing up, I didn't really enjoy school. High school was tough because, as I said before, I was homeless and I was doing a virtual charter school at the time. And it's hard to go online and do classes when you don't have internet or a computer. So high school was a bit of a whirlwind for me. But through my story in athletics and standardized testing, I did get that scholarship to Villanova, and I took a postgraduate year after I graduated to help the foundation fundraise and things like that.
Really?
Yeah, and do some project-driven learning.
Look at his smile. Just, I love your smile because it says so much about who you are. Your smile says everything about who you are and what you believe in this program.
Yeah. So I took a year to help with their fundraising and things like that. And through the project-driven learning, it reignited that passion for learning that was inside of me. So when I went to Villanova School of Business and I was sitting in Accounting 101, Finance, I had a real life example of why those things are important. I remembered sitting in the foundation office working through numbers with Trent, our executive director, and saying, oh, learning about this in the book is equivalent to this in real life. So I came into college hungry for that knowledge, and it changed the whole game.
What's wonderful to me is that you have somebody like yourself, Ryan, in Jewel, who in her own life was homeless at one point, and she changed her own life and created this amazing young woman that she is today. You're doing that time and time again. So, William, let me ask you a couple of tough questions. We have a lot of families that are watching right now, a lot of families with children who might be going through the same exact thing that you went through. What advice do you tell them? What do you say to those families? What do you say not only to the families, but to the 15-year-olds and the 12-year-olds and the 14-year-olds that are now facing the same things that you faced when you were young?
I'd say that it gets better. And as corny as that sounds and as cliche as that sounds, it does, but it gets better because you make it better. It gets better because you're willing to put in the internal and external work to cultivate that happiness within yourself.
Okay, let me ask you, I'm sorry, I'm excited, so let me ask you the question. When did you believe again in William? When did you, through all the times of sleeping on benches at Lorenzi Park, being in that one room, when did William believe in William again? When did that happen and how did it happen? Because I see it in you.
It happened through the foundation. I was constantly working. I was going and picking things up and helping organize events and having that knowledge that I am able to do things. I am able to coordinate. I am able to influence the world around me and also influence my inner ecosystem, my inner happiness, my inner sense of value and sense of being. It gave me the tools to be happy.
And I remember when it was.
You do?
Yeah.
Because you sensed it? Because you saw it? When? Because
he showed up at my house at 11 at night, and he was delivering stuff for work. And I was like, what are you doing? Why do you need, it's 11 at night. And he's like, because I'm loving the grind, and I'm getting the job done. So it was no longer about people asking him to do things. It was something he took personal pride in. And he started to realize that the more he did the right things, the more he was productive, the better he felt about himself. And once they find that, game over. Now, they might lose it every now and then because you go to college and you get pulled sideways, but you have a frame of reference of how to get back there.
Again, we all face challenges. Yeah. Every single day is a challenge. You know, I'm always surprised when people say, I hate change. Change happens every single day of our lives in some form or another. We never put our pants on exactly the same way. We never wake up in the same way. We never do anything. Change happens. Change happens in your life. It's the way you dealt with it and what you believed inside. And I think sometimes, even us as adults, we forget that. And I think every single time there's a challenge, we have the opportunity to become the victor rather than the victim.
Correct. And we have a phrase, we have a lot of slogans, but one is no quit. And no quit means don't give up on yourself, don't give up by getting angry, don't give up by getting worrisome, don't give up by just not giving up. And if you endure, 90% of the time it's going to work out great. But I will say this, we have a banner at our facility that says parents make it possible. And regardless of the scenarios that we come in contact with, I've yet to come across a parent that didn't want to do everything in their power to help their child. And they may not do it perfectly, but that deep down, that's their deepest desire. And I know in his family situation, his father and mother were extraordinary. They just got hit by a recession that took a lot of people down with them. And his mom is a great, he's well-spoken, not because of us, but his mother spent thousands of hours educating her children. And his character was kind of already there by the hard work and dedication of his father. And we like to invest in people that invest in themselves. And his family is a great example because they're all hardworking, great people that just got hit with the challenge.
Being a parent is a series of trial and errors.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly believe it's a series of trial and errors. There's no book that you learn from. It's what we all gain from it. William, I kind of sense that you have a different sense of who your family is today than what you did when they were in that one room struggling.
My family, obviously my insular family, my parents, they've been incredible. They've always wanted the best for me, and I think coming out here and becoming a part of the foundation, my extended family, it's been unbelievably powerful. And seeing the glow in my parents as they saw me become a part of this group, and knowing that I was in good hands and around good people and around people who all are striving for excellence.
Well, I think you're a wonderful example of that, not only to yourself and your family, but I think to this community and everybody that's out there. Ryan, before we leave, I think it's important to share your website so people can see what you do and learn what you do and maybe be in contact with you. What's the website? How can people reach out to you?
So inspiringchildren.net is the Marty Hennessy Inspiring Children Foundation. That has all the information of what we do, our programs. And then Jewel and I created this website called jewelneverbroken.com. And that has a lot of the basic mindfulness, emotional intelligence exercises that we do for the children, that we now have like 34,000 people that use that. So people can go on there and kind of get a taste of what we do from a distance.
Well, it's been 2 glorious weeks for me. So I think that as a society, I think we all have a responsibility. I think that responsibility is how and what we do to make society better. Mm-hmm. I think it begins with ourselves, begins with our families, it begins with creating a better life for our young people. And I congratulate you, Ryan, for doing that in Jewel and all those that are involved in it. You're making a difference. And thank you for being with us for the past 2 weeks, to both of you. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
It is about making a difference. And that's exactly what they're doing. Proud of William, proud of Ryan. We'll be back some with closing words in just a moment. Stay with us. I think what you gain from listening to Ryan and to William is that life does change, and you can make a difference in who you are and what you are. And I honestly believe, and I've dedicated myself to this entire idea, that who we are and what we are begins from inside of us, believing in who we are, understanding who we are, and believing that there's really nothing out there that we cannot conquer if we really put our heart and our mind to it. And watching this wonderful young man, William, on our program today and seeing how he has elevated himself is a great example of exactly that. I'm Steve Schorr. Until the next time, be safe and enjoy life under the Vegas sun.